Yeah, here with another episode of the Star Wars podcast. And today's episode is about the well known video game Star Wars Battlefront. For those of you that don't know, this game originally came out in 2004. It was created by Pandemic Studios and LucasArts for the Xbox, PlayStation 2, and PC. Eventually, they did release the sequel, Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I think Pandemic Studios also helped produce both Renegade Squadron and Elite Squadron, which are all in the series of Star Wars Battlefront games. Now, the series is soon to be rebooted by DICE, who will be making Star Wars Battlefront. It will not be called Battlefront 3. It is a complete reboot of the series. Now, the basis of the game, for those of you who haven't played it, which I fully recommend you do, this game is a shooter where each team normally has about two goals to achieve. You can either capture all the command posts and hold them for about a minute without a command post being captured, or you can kill all the men on the other team. Sometimes you can even do both, which is a really awesome win. So, these are the goals to the game. Now, how does the game work? Does it have a campaign mode? Is what you may be asking. The original Battlefront, not really. The original Battlefront was more of a form of a series of planets, each planet with a different faction that you were required to play, or a different uh, planet, or what's the word? Different planet or map on that planet that you were required to play, no choice, and you're only offered uh, certain character models. I don't know why I'm struggling with the words. You're only offered certain classes to be able to play at that time. For example, on the original one for the Galactic Civil War, you start off as the Empire and you are only offered a couple forms of the Stormtrooper on the planet of Tatooine. And then you would go on to play another Tatooine map, and so on. But after a few maps, it switched over and you played the Rebels for the rest of the Galactic Civil War. And it follows the approximate path of the movies for both series of planets that you play. Now, the Star Wars Battlefront 2 was much different, along with Renegade and Elite Squadron. Now, all of them still follow a series battles or maps that you must play in order to complete the story. But in each of those three, there are certain goals you are required to finish before moving on. Now, earlier you heard me mention factions. In this game, there were 4 factions in all 4 games. The factions include the CIS, or the Separatists, as they are better known, the Rebellion, the Empire, and the Old Republic, or the Republic. So these are the 4 factions. The Separatists, you will be playing as droids, such as the Droideka, or the Super Battle Droid, or the B1 droid. In the Republic, you'll be playing as various forms of the Clone Trooper, given different weapons. In the Empire, you are playing various forms of Stormtroopers with different weapons and abilities. In the Rebellion, you are playing different rebels with different abilities. And often in the Rebellion, the rebels are textured as different forms of aliens, or one's a girl, one's a guy type of situation. whereas with clone troopers and stormtroopers, the simple outfit will change. All these allow you to tell what class you are going up against. Now, in the original Battlefront, the planets you were able to play include Rimvar, Tatooine, Kashyyyk, Hoth, Geonosis, Bespin, Naboo, Yavin 4, Endor, and Kamino. Kamino, Hoth, Geonosis, and Endor all only had one map, while all the other games included two maps. So these planets were specified, are basically being pointed out as being special points. These are often major turning points or major battles in the actual war. For example, in the actual now canon, Camino was a very serious battle because if the Republic lost there, they would be losing their cloning facilities, whereas Geonosis was the beginning of the war, so therefore that was a really important battle. These are all kind of layered throughout. You are only able to play these at certain points, and these are often the harder of the battles actually complete in the original Battlefront. Now, Battlefront 2 includes some different planets and different maps. You can notice that one of the Yavin 4 maps is used in both the original Battlefront and Battlefront 2. You can also notice some differences in maps between the different forms of Battlefront 2. For example, from what I know, in PlayStation 2 version of Battlefront 2, there is a Death Star map, or at least from my memory, whereas in the PSP version of Battlefront 2, there isn't a Death Star map. Instead, you're able to play on the Tantive 4. Now, apart from the different Battlefronts, when you get into the later Battlefronts 2 and later, there are special forms of the game you can play in free play mode, whereas in the original Battlefront you could only pick your planet and what faction you want to be versus, whether it's Empire versus Rebellion or Separatist versus Republic. And so basically, often as you progress through the games, they often change. The later two games are a little bit more cartoony looking, but they also allow you to fight in space between planets and the space. So like you can travel while fighting, you can travel up in space and fight, and then come back down and fight. Whereas you couldn't do that in the other two. There's space fighting in Battlefront 2, but you cannot transition between space to planet in the same battle. In Battlefront 1, simply you can use a fighter, but there's no space battles at all. So there is a big difference here. Now I'll go over the winning conditions again for both games. You can either capture all the command posts or kill all the guys. So, as there are campaign features apart from this, basically it'll give you a set of planets, either in a picture or in a galactic map. This is often seen throughout all Battlefront games. You have to basically fight. You will get some bonuses that you can buy, and you will take out or capture every single planet in the galaxy, essentially. Once you capture all the galaxies, the planets, not galaxies, it's not star galaxies. Once you capture all of the planets, you win this version or this campaign mode. These are often where a lot of the fun in the game comes in and more of the strategy, and I find it very interesting. If you lose the planet, you have to come back to it later, and your ship above it is destroyed, especially in Battlefront 2. I have loved this game. I know I'm called Star Wars Indiana, but I love this game before I even watched Star Wars for the first time. This game is extremely nostalgic for me. The only game that might even have a ability of being Star Wars Battlefront nostalgia for me is Super Mario Bros. 3. I love Battlefront. I love both the first and second Battlefront. I think they are wonderfully made games, and they really do deserve the popularity they've been given. If you plan on getting the new Battlefront game that comes out in a couple months, I suggest you make sure you play these games first. These games were great for the time they came out. They have aged a little bit. You'd probably be surprised at how much Battlefront 2 hasn't aged, but I haven't played it in a little while, so I could be wrong. Battlefront 1 is a little boring after a while, so if you're able to get both Battlefront 1 and 2, it's really nice switching between the two, and you don't get bored as fast. And honestly, I played these games for 2 or 3 years with my friend every day, and we never got bored out of them. These games are just fun, strategic, hard difficulties, they get awesome, and it's just really fun to sit down and play with a friend. So, again, this is some information about Star Wars Battlefront. Really an easy game to get into. There's not that much of a learning curve. There's no online player for the old versions, really. And if there is, it might be on the computer and it's really terrible and actually doesn't work at all on the uh, systems. But again, either way, they're fun games. As long as you have another friend sitting by you that's able to play it with you, go ahead and play it. And so, I love this game. Give it a chance. This is Star Wars Indiana signing out. See you guys later, and please suggest some future topics.